This is a update for the Bulbil project. So as some of you know, we recently planted almost 5,000 bulbils here in the greenhouse for propagation. So they're overtaking the whole greenhouse. So I'm gonna try to work with what I got here. I've tried a new tripod setup to make things a little bit smoother, but so we got 25 trays I think altogether. So that's pretty much taken up a lot of the greenhouse. And luckily it's been I think almost 11 days now, and we've had quite a few already pop, which is good. It's a good sign that they were stored fine. Another tier above. So overall now we have, I think 25 trays, 26 trays altogether, each with about 200. Some of them, are actually up, which is nice. So I'm going to grab this and move this along. So they're pretty small when they come up. They're more like almost like a blade of grass, only a little bit thicker. They do have a bit of spring to them. This guy is a Red Russian. It seems that the Red Russians are all up first. These are the Dugansky. Sorry about that. The Duganskys are coming up nicely. This tray now probably has maybe 30 or 40 in here altogether. The Colorado Blacks are doing really, really well. I can't believe how vigorous they are. I mean, they came up easily within, say, 5 days. They were actually starting to sprout in the refrigerator, which kind of makes sense, I guess. These things tend to want to vernalize, so as long as you keep the temperature cold, they shouldn't sprout. But I guess there's a limit to all of that and how much time you can actually leave them in the refrigerator. So, it's interesting because we didn't really know how long these things were going to take to germinate. It's not really a seed; it's more of a clone of the original plant. And I guess some insider information from people that we had dealt with said that it would be 5 to 10 days, and they weren't joking. Now those people were dealing with tissue cultures, which are different than bulbils, but it looks like even on some of the porcelains, we have a few coming up now. The Susan Delafield is one variety, and I think I saw one little sprout in here some time ago. There it is right there. It's a little tiny guy. But there's more to come if that's the case. I mean, that guy is up, so I'm expecting to start to see some of these other porcelains, but these are all porcelain varieties. And I have them all labeled. The labels aren't easy to see, unfortunately. But this is all Newfoundland Tall up here. And Newfoundland Tall, I think, it's a porcelain variety. And for those of you that have grown the Newfoundland Tall, there's a reason why it's called Newfoundland Tall. It gets pretty big. So these guys, we have 4 trays. So that's 800 bulbils altogether. Which, when you think about it, even if they produce a round in the first year, they will end up, splitting probably in the second or third year. So these 800 in these, these 1, 2, 3, 4 small trays end up becoming, I guess fourfold. So the 800 now becomes 3,200 potential garlic in, kind of 3 years. And you're talking about, basically there's about one umbel and a half in each one of these. And the umbel really is just the flower of that garlic that produces those bulbils. So if you think about garlic's quite different, right? You need to take a single clove and actually turn it into 3,200 garlic would take a long time, but something the size of a clove, which is basically a flower umbel, you can take and you can turn it into potentially 3,200 within kind of 3 years, maybe a little bit longer depending on the variety, but it's pretty good, right? I mean, the return on investment for bulbils would be way better than way better than buying garlic cloves. Of course, it just means that you need patience. You need patience to take them to that point, because it's going to take several years. But yeah, so that's where we are. The porcelains are starting to come up, which is great. The Newfoundland Talls, I haven't seen any yet, but of course curiosity always gets me. I had to dig down, just to see, and luckily I did kind of come across a larger bulbil that had started to root, so it's promising. Those guys, it's just a matter of time before they come. And yeah, I think we got some Dugansky up also, which is good. In any case, I can only see that this is going to be pretty successful once they get going. So our long-term plan here, I guess, summertime plan is obviously not to keep them in here. Garlic tends to grow well in cooler temperatures than a greenhouse, and it's the cool temperatures of vernalization that actually helps it in terms of how vigorous its growth is and how well it actually, I guess, bulbs in order for it to split into bulbs. So, the plan is if you looked at the previous videos, you see that these white trays have these black trays in them, and the idea is that when we go to, these are just webbed, so inside there's nothing more than just a webbing, and I can kind of look down and see that it's, there's a space here, and the idea is that we're gonna get our ground ready kind of early in April, row cover it, and these trays will lift right out. Now, I've already tried this with no bulbils in there, so there's no root mass keeping the soil together. And the idea is that we're gonna lift these out all together, and you can see as I lift, the soil just comes right with it, and we're gonna plop this right down in the ground, and that way we don't have to worry about disrupting the roots too much, but they'll gain some thermal mass from the ground outside, help keep the root zone cool for a little while, and hopefully, when we go to harvest them, it'll actually make harvesting easier too, because we'll just be able to kind of grab these trays, lift them up maybe over a 1/4 inch screen, and just give them a shake. And I think that the bulbils should just, the rounds at that point, I guess they'll be, the rounds should just fall kind of out through this, the large webbing. The large webbings are probably, I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. And once you shake it, basically they'll all fall out, but they'll be in loose ground, so they'll be easy to collect. At least that's the idea. I think that it makes sense. I don't see why it won't work. I've done tests with, kind of the soil sitting where it is in these trays, and kind of put rocks in for rounds to simulate the whole thing. And yeah, so I'm hoping that shaking it, basically I'll end up with rounds, and it'll be nice and easy to harvest. So that's it. I mean, 5,000 altogether. Luckily, a buddy of mine has enough room in his greenhouse for another 25 or 26 trays, which adds up to another 5,000. Plus, we have another 5,000 that we're gonna sow directly into furrows outside, and probably, you know, early April. So these guys are gonna have a head start, but we're trying to determine whether or not it makes sense to vernalize them in the ground over winter. And I don't think it is. I think that this way is going to work fine, and you don't need to fool around with planting them in the fall at all. I think that, you know, we do it just because that's what people have done. But in any case, within kind of 2 to 3 years, we're hoping that these 15,000 will become kind of 45,000. And then the 45,000 become, you know, 150,000. And luckily we should have enough land to plant all of this on. And we'll be garlic farmers. Anyway, that's it. That's the project anyway, in a nutshell. And it's all working, it's all coming up. So hopefully, as this goes along, I'll keep you garlic enthusiasts all informed about our garlic project. Thanks for watching.